Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. Al Jazeera reports that Israel is threatening to resume its war on Gaza to force disarmament. As the current truce phrase, since October, the ceasefire has seen 828 Palestinians killed and Israel expanding its control to 59% of the Strip, according to local sources in Army radio. Palestinian factions, including Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and PFLP, are rejecting a U.S.-backed plan by Nikolai Mladenov that links humanitarian aid and reconstruction to a phased weapons surrender. They insist disarmament must be tied to a clear political path toward Palestinian statehood and an end to occupation. Analysts suggest Israel's threats might be a smokescreen to distract from strategic failures and military exhaustion, especially given the ongoing crisis in southern Lebanon. The people of Gaza remain caught between endless occupation and the shadow of renewed devastating conflict. NBC News reports that the national average gas price has climbed to a new wartime high of $4.39 per gallon, marking its largest one-day increase since the ceasefire with Iran was announced on April 7th. Gas prices have surged more than 47% since the war began, driven by crude oil extending its gains for the year to around 80%. President Donald Trump intends to maintain the U.S. Navy's blockade on Iranian ports, which has been in effect since April 13th, stating that Iran's economy is crashing and expecting gas prices to fall once the war ends. However, energy experts largely disagree, anticipating oil prices will remain elevated for a prolonged period, especially if Iran continues to disrupt shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Analysts from Citigroup suggest international Brent crude could reach $150 per barrel if the strait remains closed through June. Major oil company CEOs, Mike Wirth of Chevron and Darren Woods of ExxonMobil, also warn of severe pressure on global energy supplies, with Woods noting that 15% of Exxon's production is impacted by the conflict. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, there are calls for a vote on a war powers resolution, as the Iran war has exceeded the 60-day threshold, though some administration officials argue hostilities have terminated. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi arrived in Australia today, marking the second stop of her visit following Vietnam. Tomorrow, she is scheduled to meet with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in Canberra. According to Zio Shiba, their discussions are expected to focus on economic security, energy policy, and national security issues. A key agenda item will be coordinating a joint statement to address China's increasing economic pressure through its control over rare earth and other resources. This visit is the first by a Japanese prime minister in approximately 3.5 years, since Fumio Kishida's trip in October 2022. Japan considers Australia a quasi-ally and aims to strengthen bilateral cooperation to maintain regional stability amidst China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific. The leaders will also cover strengthening critical mineral supply chains, including rare earths, and ensuring energy security, particularly concerning Australia's role as a major liquefied natural gas (LNG) supplier to Japan against the backdrop of tensions in Iran. Furthermore, they will confirm deeper security cooperation, building on the April agreement for joint development of a new Australian Navy frigate based on Japan's Mogami-class destroyers. Takaichi's push for a free and open Indo-Pacific will also be a central theme. Discussions are also anticipated to include expanding personnel exchanges, noting the significant Japanese expatriate community in Australia. The Epoch Times reports that details of a $1 billion, approximately $1.2 billion, state mine loan Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán secured from China in 2024 have been exposed by a Hungarian investigative news website, 44.0. This comes before Orbán leaves office and incoming Prime Minister Peter Magyar takes over on May 9th. Hungarian authorities had previously kept the loan details secret, citing bank confidentiality rules. The 3-year loan provided by China Development Bank, Export-Import Bank of China, and Bank of China Hungary branch carries an interest rate of EUR/AG RIBOR plus 1.5 percentage points, currently 3.916%, along with an €8 million upfront fee. The funds are earmarked for infrastructure, energy, and transportation projects. The Atlantic Council has criticized Hungary for its overtly pro-China stance under Orbán, noting its role as a significant recipient of Chinese direct investment within the EU and its obstruction of EU efforts to counter Beijing's influence. Peter Magyar has pledged to review high-cost international agreements and Chinese investments, particularly in the electric vehicle sector, ensuring compliance with environmental, health, and labor standards and tangible economic benefits for Hungary. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.